How's it going, Jack Tackers, and welcome back to another video for you guys. Today, I'm going to be ranking all of the Bronze Age Disney films from the worst to the best. We are continuing the series where I take an era of Disney movies and rank those movies. And yeah, we're at the Bronze Age, which a lot of people have called the Dark Age of Disney. And I tend to disagree because I believe the true Dark Age of Disney films was the wartime era, and I already did a video going over all of those movies, and you know that I don't care for them that much. However, my main issue with the Bronze Age is that, simply put, these movies are just not as iconic as some of the rest of the Disney catalog. And, you know, I think there are still a few movies in here that are pretty recognizable and iconic, but the majority of these 8 movies aren't super notable. And a lot of these films, I'll tell you, for this video, I watched for the very first time, and I only have a few movies that I have nostalgia for, so it'll be interesting to hear your guys' opinions on some of these movies that I just recently saw for the first time. And yeah, I'll let you guys know once we get to a certain movie that I'll let you guys know if I saw that when I was younger or if I saw that recently. But yeah, I don't actually hate any of these movies either. I know I say that in almost like all my ranking videos, but genuinely, I don't think there's like a truly bad movie here. I would rewatch all of these movies in a heartbeat. I just think there's definitely some that are way better than others. So with all that being said, let's jump on into the ranking. At number 8, my least favorite Bronze Age Disney movie is The Aristocats. Now, for me, this is just kind of a nothing movie and relatively forgettable. Also, in many ways, it's a worse version of Lady and the Tramp, and I don't even think Lady and the Tramp's that magnificent. I think it's decent, but you know, we have an outside animal falling in love with an indoor animal. Only in this film, it's a cat instead of a dog. And obviously, there are differences than Lady and the Tramp in this movie. It's not exactly Lady and the Tramp, but, you know, the general idea of that kind of romance between animals is in here. I will say, though, the song, Everybody Wants to Be a Cat, it's a banger. I feel like everyone says that when talking about this movie, though. And, you know, it's got some cute characters here and there. But overall, it's just nothing too special in my eyes. But at number 7, I have The Black Cauldron. Now, this is kind of the black sheep of the Disney canon. You know, it's very unique, and I kind of respect Disney for going down this route. It's a bit more dark, and it's a little scary, to be honest. I had heard going into this movie, and by the way, this is a movie I didn't have any nostalgia for, and with the Aristocats, I had a little nostalgia for, but I hadn't seen it that many times. However, with The Black Cauldron, a movie I recently saw, I have to respect it for the fact that it is very different for Disney, and in many ways doesn't even really feel like a Disney movie. But going into this, I had heard that it was a lot more, I guess, quote-unquote, mature. And I wouldn't say it's necessarily mature, although there's a few odd moments involving the witches and their breasts. I'll just be honest. It's played off as a gag, but I thought, all right, I can totally see why this movie's PG. Not only that odd moment, but we have the Horned King, which is so terrifying, and he's a great villain. He's honestly probably the scariest Disney villain out there. I don't know if that's a hot take to say. He's not the best Disney villain, he's just one of the scariest. I mean, his design, his voice, he looks all decrepit and just horrifying. Really good stuff. And that's definitely a highlight of this movie. But still, it's nothing amazing. I mean, this movie can get a little boring at moments. You know, I do respect it nonetheless, but it's just when you compare this movie to the rest of the Bronze Age films, at least in my opinion, it's not amazing and just kind of mid. But, you know, I still find at least a little bit of enjoyment from it, so there is that. Anyways, at number 6, I have The Great Mouse Detective. Now, I'll be honest, the reason this movie is kind of ranked this low is because if Ratigan wasn't in the movie, I probably wouldn't like it. Now, this is a movie I had just seen for the first time as well. Never saw this growing up. I don't know how, but Ratigan is such a goat. He's actually one of my favorite Disney villains now. But again, this whole movie and all my enjoyment from it sort of comes from that character. If Ratigan wasn't in this movie, I don't know if I would like this movie that much. I mean, the protagonists are perfectly fine, but, you know, all the things I like about this movie definitely revolve around Ratigan. I mean, you have The World's Greatest Criminal Mind, which is such a banger song, and that's a song about him. Oh, Ratigan. Oh, Ratigan. It's just man, that goes hard AF. And I will say the final fight in the clock tower is cool, but again, Radigan is in that scene, so do I just like the way the clock tower looks, or is it because I like Radigan and he's a goat? I don't know. Nonetheless, though, this is a fairly decent movie. Kind of has the same problem that I have with the Black Cauldron. When you compare this movie to the other Bronze Age films, it just doesn't feel as special. Again, that's just my opinion, but fairly decent. I like this one. Yeah. Anyways, at number 5, I have The Rescuers. Now, funny enough, my mom has nostalgia for this movie. She grew up in the 70s, obviously, and this came out in 77. So she watched this when she was a little girl, and she probably related to the character of Penny. And the character of Penny in this movie is super adorable. Now, yet again, this is a movie I had never seen until recently, just like a few weeks ago, which I find hilarious because, again, my mom has so much nostalgia for it. And I feel like a little bit of her nostalgia kind of rubbed off on me. She actually watched this movie with me when I was watching it. So it was kind of like a cool viewing experience. And I'm sure most people probably wouldn't put The Rescuers this high on the list. I mean, granted, it's only at number 5, but you know, it's higher than some of these others, some people would say. But, you know, I will say the villain is absolutely a horrible character. Well, not a horrible character in the sense of, like, she's badly written. She's just evil. And in many ways, her character design actually reminds me of Cruella de Vil. They probably recycled some animation from her, especially in that one scene when she's driving away. That definitely had to be from Cruella de Vil's animation. And, yeah, her character design just kind of reminds me of her. Arguably, she's more evil than Cruella de Vil because Cruella de Vil just wanted to kill some puppies. This evil woman in this movie just wants money, and she needs, obviously, the character of Penny, this little girl, to help her with that. And it's pretty evil stuff, but I felt so bad for Penny in this. And you really one thing that's really good about this movie, you really want the rescuers to succeed in their mission in saving Penny. And I really like that when you can really root for a protagonist. I mean, this woman, it's just Madame Medusa or whatever her name is. She's a evil, evil villain. And I do not like her. I mean, she's well written, okay? But yeah, overall, she's just pretty evil. And, you know, I will say this isn't anything special of a movie. This isn't my number 1 movie to go back and rewatch, but it's good. I like it, and that's really all I got to say about it. So there you go. Anyways, at number 4, I have Oliver and Company. Now, I didn't expect to rank this movie this high. It's very 80s. Came out in 88, I believe. And it's actually the last movie that came out in the Bronze Age. But what can I say? I kind of love it. It has a certain charm to it. I mean, the Billy Joel music, Why Should I Worry? Why should I worry? It's just like, dang, that's another banger. I've talked a lot about songs in this video, but I mean, we're talking about Disney, so come on. And I love how the villain, I guess kind of spoiler warning, but not really. I mean, again, this came out in the 80s. The villain dies horribly and brutally. It's actually one of the most brutal, like, villain deaths in Disney, I feel like. That caught me off guard, but I really like the villain. I think his name's Sykes. Yeah, he's like a mob boss. He's pretty cool. And I really like the characters, actually. And it's a very colorful movie. The animation, you know, it's really colorful. I like it. And the setting of New York City, again, I like it. I like it. I don't know. But anyway, number 3, I have The Fox and the Hound. Now, this is a very wholesome and cute movie, but it's also kind of sad. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of teared up a bit at the end. Now, this is a movie I had seen a few times growing up as a kid, and when I recently rewatched it, I was like, you know, that's pretty good. I liked that a fair amount. There's some surprisingly intense action in this movie. I mean, it's not an action movie, but especially in that one scene with the bear, that bear's ferocious and pretty intense. And yeah, it's pretty sad, though, as well. That ending, man, always kind of chokes me up. So it's got like a kind of roller coaster of emotions. Sometimes I'm thrilled by this movie, and then sometimes I'm very saddened by it, especially, again, the end, when Copper's, like, protecting Todd from getting shots. It's just like, man, that's some good stuff, though, I got to say. So yeah, overall, Good movie, pretty solid movie. I don't have too many negatives with it. Yeah, that's really all I got to say. Anyways, at number 2, I have Robin Hood. Now, Oodle Ollie is a top 5 Disney song, in my opinion. I'm not joking. I love that song. I also really enjoy the prison break scene at the end. I thought that's fairly intense. There are a few kind of dull moments in this movie, but I have to put this at number 2 this high because it's just still a fun movie all around. And also, I love when Robin Hood and Little John would disguise themselves throughout the movie. It's super funny and just, I thought it was very entertaining. And yeah, when this movie's entertaining, it can be entertaining. Sometimes, again, it's a little slow paced. I think maybe you could trim this movie up a little bit. But at the end of the day, I like it. And yeah. Anyways, at number 1, I have The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Where do I begin talking about this movie? I mean, this is without a doubt, in my opinion, the best Bronze Age Disney film. I mean, I don't even know how anyone could say otherwise. Well, I could understand because there's a few other good movies that I recently talked about. But this is a movie I had watched a lot as a kid, and I remember liking it, and then I rewatched it again, and I liked it even more because it meant a lot to me as an adult. I mean, you got some themes of like growing up towards the end of this movie, and with Christopher Robin especially, because obviously these characters are, I guess not, I mean, this whole, the 100 Acre Wood is kind of in his mind. This whole world he kind of created with his stuffed animals. And it's just like, really emotional at the end. It kind of comes out of nowhere, you know. That one scene with Pooh and Christopher Robin at the end, it's just like very wholesome, and you know, Christopher Robin's going away to school and like getting older. I love all those themes. It's not really necessarily present throughout the whole film. It's kind of episodic. There's multiple like shorts, and there's not like an overarching narrative kind of, because it's again called The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, so it's not like one long story. But for the most part, it kind of feels like it is. It feels cohesive overall, which is good. And it's just so cute and wholesome. And also, songs are bangers. Talking about songs again, Heffalumps and Woozles. Yeah, it's a certified classic. And I just love the characters. This is without a doubt the most iconic Bronze Age film. Everyone knows Winnie the Pooh and Tigger and Eeyore. Everyone knows these characters. You can't really say that about a lot of these movies. I mean, Robin Hood, again, I'd say is relatively iconic, but that's just because Robin Hood's an iconic character, not necessarily because Disney made Robin Hood iconic, but Disney made Winnie the Pooh iconic, in my opinion. And everyone knows these characters. And it's just a really good movie. It's actually one of my favorite Disney animated films, The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. I mean, it's probably in the top 10. Definitely at least top 15. But maybe top 10. It's one of my favorites for sure. But anyway, that is the Bronze Age, a fairly solid age. Again, it's not as good as like the Silver Age or the Golden Age or Renaissance. But at the end of the day, some people saying this is the Dark Age. No, sir, no. The wartime era is much worse. But that's all I got to say. Let me hear your ranking or some of your favorite movies from this age down in the comments below. And let me hear your thoughts on my ranking, of course. But be civil about it. Anyway, if you liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you are new. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.